Hello, I'm John Rossi, a touring drummer with a love of all things animal. When I'm on the road, I visit as many zoos, aquariums... Hey, wait a minute. What's going on? Hey, what's going on there? Hello? Hello? Hello?
We interrupt your regularly scheduled program to bring you Rossifari Zoo News. News you can use from the world of zoos and conservation. Every week, we bring you breaking news and analysis from around the globe, featuring the animals you love and the people who care for them. And here's your anchorman, John Rossi.
Hello, 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 and welcome back to Rossifari Zoo News, your look at everything happening in the world of zoos, aquariums, conservation, and animal weirdness. This is a crowdsourced news podcast, so if you happen to see anything that you think is zoo newsworthy, then go ahead and tag me in that on social medias. I am at Rossifari everywhere except for at Rossifari Pod on TikTok, or email those stories to me, rossifaripod@gmail.com. And whether I use your story or not, you'll get to hear your name at the end of the episode, so that's pretty exciting. While you're there, make sure you hit follow, make sure that you have subscribed to the podcast. Please take a moment to leave a rating and maybe even write a review for the podcast. It really helps people find the podcast. And so you may notice, if you are a regular listener, that my voice is a little bit subdued right now. And I'm not going to lie, that is because today has been a bit of a rough day. I'm sure that you all know by now that we are a 2-dog family currently. Paradiddle, the young black lab who is insane and wonderful and perfect, and Lexi, my older chihuahua, who is very much not insane, but wonderful and perfect in her own way, and we love them both so much. And we're also fostering a dog named Otis. And Otis is a very scared Aussie who is getting braver every day, and things are going really well. But there are actually more dogs in my life, and one of them was named Bree. Bree was a very small chihuahua who has been in my life for over a decade now, and was currently living with Zoe's parents, but she'd been with me from kind of my previous life, and then we spent some years where we were not together, and during that time, I'm not quite sure what happened, but Bree went from a normal, if weird, small dog to a dog who sometimes would just choose to not eat for like a long period of time, and sometimes would argue over some food that she loved the day before, but then would eat something that she had never wanted to eat before. It was really a journey to figure out what Bree wanted every day in order to do basic things like, stay alive. And that largely became the responsibility of Zoe's dad, Chris, and it was something that he took on with a lot of passion and did a really great job with. Unfortunately, Bree recently fell sick, and we had to make the decision today to euthanize her. And this was really out of the blue for me. 11 years old is not a long time for a Chihuahua to live. It's a fair age, but I was caught really off guard by this, and I've been kind of trying to process it all day, and I tried to come up and record this earlier in the day, but I didn't think I was in the best headspace for it. And if I'm being completely honest, it's 10:30 at night, the day before this drops, and I got to get it recorded, but I'm still not really in the best headspace for it. But, I wanted to share about Bree, and of course, I think it's important to get the normal zoo news stuff out there, so we're going to soldier on. But, if you have a dog or, a cat or there's something that'll let you do so, give it a little extra squeeze for me when you listen to this, and just, this is the hard part of pets, and we will move on, but I'm a Miss Bree. She was a good dog. When I was in the hospital last year and then at Zoe's parents' house recovering, Bree basically did not leave my side except for to go to the bathroom. Literally, for the weeks that I was there. Just curled up next to me the whole time. So, I miss Bree. But anyway, enough being melancholy from me. Let's move on to zoo news. You know, sometimes making this podcast is very weird. We just spent a solid 5 minutes saying goodbye to Bree the puppy and being sad, and immediately launched into a parody of my Sharona about zoo news. So yeah, there it is. All right, so we are going to start off the zoo news segment this week by doing some hellos and goodbyes. We'll start with the hellos. The Philadelphia Zoo announced the birth of 2 sloth bear cubs to 10-year-old mom Kayla and 10-year-old dad Balu on January 2nd. They don't know the sex yet. They have not chosen names yet. And it looks like the parents are doing a really great job raising the cubs. So really exciting news out of the Philadelphia Zoo. And speaking of exciting news, the Utica Zoo, which, you know, again, I think should be called Zootica, but that's besides the point, has announced the birth of a baby gibbon. This birth is particularly noteworthy because the parents are Snowflake and Yoda. And no, it's not just the adorable names that make this noteworthy, but Snowflake is 35 years old and Yoda, the male, is 38 years old, which is really, really old for gibbons to be reproducing. All of the animals are healthy and are currently off exhibit and bonding, but this is really exciting news for the Utica Zoo, Zootica, and of course for their gibbon baby, or giblet? And our good friends at Wildlife World Zoo, Aquarium, and Safari Park have announced the birth of Arizona's first baby pygmy hippo. Or, oh, this one gets tricky because pygmy hippo is technically what the animal is called. So if we did the first syllable thing, it would just be piglet. But that's not right. Maybe it's a pygmy hiplet. I think that's what we're going with. It's a pygmy hiplet. Yep, this is how my brain works. Anyway, the baby was born just in time for World Hippo Day, and as I said, it's the first time that a pygmy hippo has ever been born in Arizona, which is really exciting and cool. And last but not least in our new animal department this week, the Denver Zoo has announced the birth of a baby bongo named Fiddle. So this little bonglet can be seen at the Denver Zoo, and I highly recommend you go to @DenverZoo on Instagram or to Denver Zoo on Facebook, because you need to see the ridiculously adorable ears that this bonglet has. It's just incredible. So congrats to the Denver Zoo. And now to flip to the other side of this coin, the Brookfield Zoo announced the passing of Ben, a 44-year-old Bornean orangutan, which made him the second oldest Bornean orangutan in North America. As if that isn't incredible enough, Ben has had a history of all kinds of crazy stuff going on. Back in 2018, he had a ruptured appendix and they needed to perform an emergency surgery to take care of that. He also had a long history of heart disease that was being managed well with medication at the zoo. And he also had severe arthritis and spinal degeneration. All of those things were going on, but were perfectly managed by Brookfield and the incredible vet team there and the keeper team there. And just what a testament to the awesome care that zoo animals receive. The fact that Ben lived such a long life despite all those issues, astonishing. Our friends at Roger Williams Park Zoo announced the passing of 27-year-old female moon bear Gracie due to a decline in health and age-related mobility issues. Gracie was a very unique and sweet bear and really loved interacting with her keepers. It was definitely a mutual love, as the keepers really loved Gracie. And when she was younger, she used to like to play and climb a lot, but, as she got older, some of that went away. She lived alongside her brother, George, who is still at the zoo, and the zoo is monitoring to make sure that he is okay. In general, moon bears are solitary by nature, so the sibling relationship was honestly a little bit surprising. Very cool to see, but also, something that he might be okay being alone is the point. But yeah, condolences to the team at Roger Williams Park Zoo. And our last farewell this week is a slightly different kind of story, unfortunately. A giraffe named Parker died at the Central Park Zoo in Rochester earlier this week at the age of 6. When the keepers showed up that morning, Parker was found unresponsive, and the vet team tried to help, but were unable to save him. It turns out that a gate structure that has been not only in place at this zoo since 2018, but is a standard giraffe enclosure feature that is used in a bunch of accredited zoos around the country, somehow trapped Parker's head. And when he tried to break free, it fractured his neck. Staff was not there at the time. This wasn't like they used it wrong or anything. It just weird little fluke that this happened this way. Central Park Zoo did both tell the gates manufacturer and also made sure to report this to the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the AZA to make sure that, this is something that they are aware of, and whether this is a problem with manufacture or a problem with this particular unit or just a crazy 1 in a billion fluke chance thing, we don't know. The zoo did announce that it will be modifying their gate to prevent this from happening again. So condolences to everyone at Central Park Zoo. And I really hope that they're able to figure out exactly what happened and prevent this, especially knowing that, this type of thing is in giraffe enclosures around the country. Now I want to give you a quick update on the Central Park Zoo Eurasian eagle owl, known as Flacco, who got out of his exhibit when it was vandalized a few weeks ago. Flacco was recently almost caught in a trap, but was able to figure it out and evade capture, and has been tracked regularly through the park, both by zoo personnel and by the birders that are coming out to see this majestic animal in a place you normally could not see it. The bird has been spotted hunting and eating successfully, which is exciting and honestly a bit surprising for an animal that lived its life in captivity. So the zoo has decided that it is not going to try to recapture Flacco at this time unless the opportunity presents itself in a very easy and obvious way. I have thoughts, y'all. I get it. I do. And I think, if they truly think that's the best thing for this bird's welfare, then okay, that's what they should do. It's always, animal welfare first, of course. That being said, there are a whole lot of people who are going to look at this as proof that animals in captivity can totally thrive in the wild, and that even the zoo in this case is admitting it. And I'm just worried that this is going to lead to at worst, more copycat things, and at the very least, give more ammo to the anti-captivity crowd saying all of these animals should be released, even though we know that this is a weirdly fluky thing, that it is working out in this owl's favor as far as being able to eat and such. I still don't think it's actually working out in his favor since, he won't get vet care and all that good kind of stuff. But I have to say, if he's not going to be back in his enclosure right now, I'm really glad that he seems to be thriving. So this past weekend was the Super Bowl, and my son's team, the Kansas City Chiefs, won the whole enchilada. So he's very happy, and his stepdad, Brandon, is an Eagles fan, so he's less happy. But that's not really the zoo news part of the Super Bowl. But I do have two stories that are related to said game. First of all is that Clint Screechwood has been announced as the winner of the Superb Owl Contest, which awards Forest Park Zoo, where he lives, a $5,000 cash prize. Screechwood obtained more than 60% of the votes cast during the final round of the Superb Owl Contest, which we mentioned on last week's Zoo News. So congratulations to Clint Screechwood. The second story involves one of the players on the Philadelphia Eagles, kind of. So it turns out that our great friends at Elmwood Park Zoo are home to Reggie, a bald eagle who is the official Philadelphia Eagles mascot and who goes to all of the home games in Philadelphia and flies around the stadium. And if this is blowing your mind, you need to go back and listen to my episodes with Laura Houston where we talk all about this. Y'all, I've hung out with Reggie. He's very cool, and we're buds. I mean, I'm just saying that I'm buds with this NFL player? I don't know. I'm going to call him a player. He doesn't play the game, but yeah, anyway. And the story's actually really cool. So Reggie comes from the Raptor Education Group Incorporated in Wisconsin. And when he was taken in by them after he was hit by a truck, he was only 3 months old. The tip of his wing was severed. And, he would not be able to fly in the wild because of that. But overall, he was healthy and had a very gentle demeanor. So when Elmwood Park Zoo reached out to REGI, which is where the name Reggie comes from, they were able to obtain him and get the placement approved and everything. And yeah, he got to be trained. He gets to work with this awesome team, and he is the official mascot of the Philadelphia Eagles. So even though the Chiefs might have won the game, the Eagles win in having the cooler mascot and having a mascot that you can go visit at our good friends at Elmwood Park Zoo. There was recently a mass shooting event at Michigan State University. In response to this, Potter Park Zoo, the local AZA accredited facility, has offered to give free admission to all Michigan State University students and staff. This is so cool. They wrote this thing and they said, "We invite you to take a stroll through our park, visit the animals, and take advantage of the quiet areas that we offer. We hope that our zoo can provide a small moment of happiness and a chance to take a break from the stress of recent events." I just think that's such a cool thing. Yeah, open those doors up. Let people who love animals come and see those animals. Beautiful work by Potter Park Zoo. All right, do me a favor, and if you are near your phone, I assume you're listening to this on your phone or the internet or somewhere near you where you can get to your calendar or calendar app or whatever you use, break it out, because I'm going to give you a date in a moment that I want you to jot down. But first, before we do that story, see, I'm giving you time to actually go and do this. I wanted to let you know that Amazon Smile is officially ending this week. Now, Amazon Smile is a program that if you went to smile.amazon.com, you could pick a charity, and that charity would get a small but, significant when it adds up percentage of the amount of money that you spend on each purchase donated to them through Amazon. I've been giving money to Red Panda Network for years this way, and many zoos also have it set up so that you could make them your Amazon Smile charity. Even though the percentages were small, Amazon does so much business that organizations and zoos and such were able to get a lot of money from this program. So the fact that they are ending it is a huge bummer. And if you are a person who has had a zoo or a conservation organization set up as your Amazon Smile charity, maybe see if you can find another way to up the donations to them a little bit, because all of these incredible organizations are about to be losing a lot of money that they've regularly had coming in through Amazon Smile. Okay, do you have that calendar? Cool, cool, cool. Please write down that on February 23rd, 2023, if you order online takeout from any Panda Express location in the country and you use code 913181, I'll put it in show notes as well, some of that money will be donated to the Cincinnati Zoo AAZK chapter. So this is a way that you can go and help the American Association of Zookeepers at Cincinnati just by eating Chinese food. So that's pretty exciting. And even though their logo is the wrong kind of panda, we still love it. So yeah, once again, that is February 23rd. And just do some online ordering of your Panda Express and put in code 913181, and you will be able to help the Cincinnati Zoo. And last but not least in Zoo News this week, I wanted to turn your attention to an article from Slate by Daniel Bisgrove called "Why Zoos Can't Completely Lock Down to Prevent What Happened in Dallas." And as you can imagine, this is an article that explains why zoos can't completely lock down to prevent what happened in Dallas. But oftentimes I feel like when these articles come out, they seem to be at least somewhat anti-zoo. And I don't know. I feel like a lot of times when I see these articles, I get very nervous. So when listener and friend Kristen Khalil sent this to me, I got the little jumblies in my tummy that either mean I have to poop or am nervous about what's going on. In this case, it was both. But I pulled it up and I was really impressed. It is really good coverage about how much zoos have grown and changed over the years. And I just thought it was pretty good coverage overall and positive, and explained a lot of things that I think the general public needs to understand about zoos. And at no point did it blame Dallas or any of these other zoos where things have happened for being the problem. It blamed the vandals. And I feel like that should be expected, but we all know that it kind of isn't. So, I highly recommend that you check this article out. It's a good read, and I think it's really interesting. I'm grateful that it's out there.
Stereotypical animal podcast theme song. Here to bring you to conservation news.
So we're going to start off with some great news out of India. For the first time since 1977, no rhinos were poached in any of India's parks. That is so encouraging and so incredible. And we've already known that Indian conservation work is going super well when it comes to the rhinos. The population has basically grown tremendously. It's doubled across northeastern India since conservation efforts started. And now we've had our first year with absolutely no rhinos poached in the parks. So this is an absolutely huge win in India. Our friends at Red Panda Network have put out a press release that makes me really, really happy. A recent study by Red Panda Network has confirmed the growth of the red panda population in the PIT corridor of eastern Nepal, where they do so much of their work. And this finding provides proof, not even evidence, but proof that community-based conservation is working in the region. The latest study shows that red pandas have gone from making their home in 88% of the PIT corridor in 2011 to inhabiting 93% of the region back in 2019. It takes a while to get these numbers and studies and such. And the likelihood of a scientist detecting a red panda in the same area in that same time period rose from 36% to 54%. That is really exciting. Now, all of the data came from the forest guardians, who are the citizen scientists and conservation advocates that live in the same area as red pandas, and then, work with the Red Panda Network to get a livelihood and help save these incredible animals. So these efforts are working. I love this so much. Also, on a side note, this isn't really conservation news, but if you like red pandas, not only should you support Red Panda Network, but if you go to Target right now, they have a whole series of plush animals from FAO Schwartz, which has apparently become a brand that sells at Target now rather than just a store in New York. And they have an absolutely adorable red panda plush, along with I don't know, octopodes and some other things. I saw, I think, a fox, and there were a lot of them. But weirdly, I was attracted to the red panda, but not allowed to buy said red panda because I have too many stuffed red pandas, which is a perfectly normal sentence for an adult male to be making right now. But so if you think that I should get the red panda plush from Target, then please send an email to my wife at
Nope.
Oh, hey, hi, babe. Sorry, I was just...
Do not do that,
okay.
John.
Oh, okay. Anyway, more than 13,000 Nigerian citizens are suing Shell Oil for decades of oil spills that they say have decreased their life expectancy to 41 years old. So that's problematic, obviously, and hopefully they are able to get some kind of restitution for this, but I don't know, man. I don't even know what the hell you're supposed to... How do you put a financial value on that? Don't get me wrong. Give these people money, give them restitution. Oil companies are every year making more and more profits, even as we see prices go up and even as they create more ecological disasters. So yeah, I'm completely on board for this lawsuit, but also at the same time, how do you even put a number on that? That's such an insane statistic, but good for these people for trying to get something for it. 3 new species of spiral-shelled nautilus have been discovered, which ups the total number of known nautilus species right now from 6 to 9. So that's a pretty huge increase at one time. And it kind of makes you wonder, how much stuff is out there, especially in the ocean, that we just don't know about. The idea of discovering that the number of species of a type of creature that we know about has just gone up by 50% in one find is astonishing and really gives some cool insight into just how much we don't know about what is going on in the ocean. And then last but not least, for conservation news, I felt the need to touch on the story that is going on in Ohio right now. And I feel like this is getting enough national news that I've debated whether to talk about it on here or not. But in case you don't know, a train carrying hazardous chemicals derailed in Ohio and is on track to become one of the worst environmental catastrophes in U.S. history. It's really bad, y'all. So this happened in East Palestine, Ohio, and 150 cars from a freight train derailed with hundreds of thousands of gallons of chemicals spilling out into nature. 2,000 people within a 2-mile radius were told to evacuate. And it's been 2 full weeks, and residents are complaining of headaches, dizziness, and fevers. Dead pets, dead chicken, dead livestock, fish just showing up dead in the local waterways, including the Ohio River, which, by the way, the Ohio River feeds into a lot of the other river systems out there. This is bad, y'all. There are 4 main chemicals that have been dropped into the river and soil in this area in Ohio. The first is vinyl chloride, which is a colorless gas that's used to make PVC plastics. It's highly flammable. It decomposes to make toxic fumes and was actually used to make mustard gas back in World War I. It is also carcinogenic, according to the National Library of Medicine, and can cause other health issues. Butyl acrylate, which is a clear liquid that is used for making paints, sealants, and adhesives. It is also flammable and can cause skin, eye, and respiratory irritation. Ethyl hexyl acrylate, which is a colorless liquid used to make paints and plastics. It can cause skin and respiratory irritation, and under moderate heat can also produce hazardous vapors. And ethylene glycol monobutyl, which is a colorless liquid used as a solvent for paint and inks, as well as some dry cleaning solutions. It is classified as acutely toxic. It is able to cause serious or permanent injury, and it is also highly flammable. Vapors can irritate the eyes and nose, and ingestion can cause headaches and vomiting. And I'd like to say thank you to @FutureEarth on Instagram for posting the breakdown of those chemicals, because y'all, I'm still working on becoming a biologist. I am not a chemist. So yeah, this is really bad, and is also, there are a lot of problems with this. There has actually already been another massive train derailment outside of Detroit since then. I am unsure if there are any chemicals that were on that train. I haven't found that information out yet as I'm recording this, but that's not great either. And that just goes to show that our crumbling infrastructure in the United States is really problematic. These train tracks are carrying hazardous materials. They're carrying important goods like foods and stuff that we need. They're carrying human beings, and occasionally villains from the 1920s and 30s are tying helpless women to them so that overdrawn masculine superheroes can come and save them. So these are really important things, and they just go by the wayside. As a matter of fact, there was that recent railway strike that was shut down by the Biden administration. And the main complaints of the railway workers were simply that they were asked to work too many hours in unsafe conditions and with too small of a crew. And it seems like maybe we wouldn't be having these train issues if the administration did not side with the railways, which are clearly messing stuff up. It's a real problem, and I am disgusted that this is happening right now. The other part of it that I find very disgusting is that I'm guessing that most of you that are listening to this have heard about this, at least somewhat, because a lot of environmentally conscious people are trying to raise awareness about this. However, the mainstream media has stayed away from this story until very recently. It's starting to pick up traction now because so many of us in the environmental sphere are talking about it. Now, look, I am not a person who is a conspiracy theorist, and I am not anti-media. I'm not one of these people who denies reality. But in this case, the coverage has been really lax when you think about the fact that this is one of the largest ecological disasters of our time. And by the time we actually know the effects of it all and how these chemicals getting into the rivers and spreading and everything, what comes from that could be the largest in our time. It might not be, but it's been really disheartening to see a very slow political response to this and a very muted media approach to this. So I hope that those things get cleared up in the near future here. And I hope that if nothing else, this can help us remember to start to focus on infrastructure again. I'm just trying to look at the conservation side of this story right now, but there is so much disgusting stuff going on here, y'all. If you're interested in the topic, look up things about this story, because there's just so much. The railways offering $1,000 maximum per person affected. It's just gross. There's so much going on. I won't go into all of that because we have to get to other news, but it's a story really worth keeping an eye on. And now, in other news, 6 years ago, a photograph was taken of an odd-looking primate in the Malaysian part of Borneo. And new research has shown that this monkey, which has been a mystery of exactly what it is, may actually be a hybrid animal. It is now believed that a female silver-leafed monkey mated with a male proboscis monkey. And that's super, super rare. Scientists believe that because of habitat fragmentation and other ecological pressures, these two primates may have reproduced with each other, which is super strange and super a bad sign for this entire area. So, this is just, whenever you see hybridization across genera, it is stark evidence that the environment is not doing super well in that area, because this is just an insanely rare thing to see. So definitely not super great news, although it's nice to know what the mystery monkey was. And last but not least, we have a two-part story that starts off fun and then is going to make me a little soapboxy. So it turns out that an emu, whose name is Mallory, lives in Massachusetts, right on the outskirts of East Bridgewater, Massachusetts, in fact. And last Thursday night, the bird managed to hop the 6-foot fence that was part of its enclosure and took off. So the owner reported this fact to the police, and the police started looking for Mallory, and they found her in the nearby town of Brockton, Massachusetts. There was a significant wild goose chase, or wild emu chase, I guess, before they were able to capture Mallory and get her back home. So yeah, there was just an emu running through this town in Massachusetts, and I think it's kind of a hilarious image. But soapbox warning here, but not only does this story show that, exotic pets are not the best idea, but then the author randomly, I'm assuming, this is one of those websites where they need to have a lot of text, because that way they can cram more ads in. And so they literally just end the story about an emu escape in Massachusetts by saying, oh, hey, did you know that you can legally own an emu in Maine? Here are some other animals that you are allowed to have as a pet in Maine. And they list 13 animals, and they are emu, stingrays, argues and crocodile monitors, a serval cat, pythons, gannets, African spurred tortoises, sugar gliders, freshwater barracuda, white-nosed coati, swamp eels, alligator, snapping turtles, and freaking binturong. Okay, I love binturongs. I might move to Maine and get a binturong, but only because I am married to a vet who could handle it and also would not actually let me get a pet binturong, because that is a horrible freaking idea. And not only is it a horrible idea that you can do that, but maybe, just maybe, responsible journalists, which clearly this author is not, should not end a story about an exotic animal escaping and causing all kinds of problems in town and also getting injured. Although Mallory is okay, she did get injured in the process. She will recover, but yes, got injured. Maybe, just maybe, we should not end that article talking about the 13 species of exotic animals that you can have as a pet in Maine. I am so annoyed and got so briefly excited and then even more annoyed when I saw binturong on the list. Look, I'm only human, y'all, and I really love those guys. But no, stop it. Bad.
Oh, animal holidays. Animal holidays. Hey!
All right, y'all. So it is still February, and that is Adopt a Rescue Rabbit Month, International Hoof Care Month, Fishing Cat February, and National Bird Feeding Month. Now, as we look at our individual days, on the 18th is World Pangolin Day and Rakalai Awareness Day. The 19th is World Whale Day. The 20th is Love Your Pet Day and also starts Invasive Species Awareness Week, which runs from the 20th to the 26th. And those are your animal holidays for the week. All right, so there we have it, folks. Zoo News is done for a whole nother week. Looking forward to another interview episode dropping on Tuesday. And hey, while we're here, let's take a second to say thank you to Laura Shank and Kristen Dickey, who are my Red Panda level patrons. Keep in mind, you can go to patreon.com/Rossifari and become a patron for as little as $3 a month. You can support the podcast and you'll get some bonus audio from some of the interview episodes and also some other little fun polls and little messages and such. It's a good time and it helps support the pod. So again, that's patreon.com/Rossifari. I'd also like to say thank you to everyone who contributed to the episode this week. Anya Keene, Colleen Lenahan, Kim Cooley, Carrie Kirkpatrick, Crystal Chapman, Kristen Khalil, Kevin Williams, Liz Dunlevy, Ken Tryon, and Jacob Newman. I just really love all of my C&K flow there. That's a lot of fun. Always cracks me up. But thank you all so much for helping out with this episode. It was really nice to have a lot of stories to just be able to turn to on a week where, things, like I said at the beginning, went a little sideways. And yeah, it was nice to have y'all doing the work for me, basically. And just thank you all for listening and for caring and for being a part of the Rossifari family. I truly love having not just everyone who contributes, but everybody who just listens as a part of this. Thank you for being here. Thank you for helping it grow. I love y'all. And remember, friends, the words Newsy credits backwards are Steiderk Yaswen.
The Rossifari podcast is produced, hosted, and engineered by John Rossi. Editing and fact-checking by John and Dr. Zoe Rossi. Our theme song is Sevens by Nathan Burke, performed by Nathan and John. Interrupting John theme and additional voices by Taylor Isaac Gray. You can reach John directly on Instagram and Facebook at Rossifari or by email at rossifaripod@gmail.com. Rossifari is part of the Daydreamer Media Network. Now, stop listening to me and go visit a zoo.